lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield four. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Hello and welcome to North Carolina, where we are about to go truck racing here at the old Rockingham Speedway. This is the 2016 iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series, and we're going to have all of tonight's action live right here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Tanner Sharp. Behind the scenes is our director Joe Peak, and our camera sets are provided by Dougie Beard. It is crunch time in the championship, as this is the final opportunity for our pursuit drivers to race their way as one of the four drivers heading into the championship round. Some drivers will need a bit more luck than others, however, Tanner, given the nature of this track, that could be easier said than done.
It is easier said than done. Rockingham Speedway is as bumpy as an old dirt road. It is a 1.017 mile racetrack with 22 and 25 degrees of banking in the corners of the racetrack. 125 laps these trucks will be going around this historical NASCAR track with 60% of fuel, so about 1 to 2 pit stops, about 50 laps on a tank of fuel approximately. Using a fixed setup tonight. Weather tonight, not too big of a concern, but this track does eat up the tires due to the old surface that this track is on. 80 degrees air temperature, track temperature is 83 degrees. So to get around this historical NASCAR track, let's hop on to the GSRC Chevrolet Silverado here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Brian Yazek. Taking you for a spin around Rockingham Speedway today in the GSRC Chevrolet Silverado. Rockingham is a fun track, but it's about as bumpy as an old dirt road. So here we go. For your hot lap, you're going to be aiming for this yellow line right here on the bottom. The banking and the speed is going to carry you up a little bit, but you're going to diamond down here and cut the bottom, come right out of turn 2, down Thunder Alley, and then down into turn 3, same thing. Aim for the yellow line, kind of let the truck float up. You're not full back into the gas until about here. Riding the bumps out, back off of the corner, across the line, and that's going to complete your lap. As the run progresses, you might see guys kind of venture up to this region of the speedway. A lot of banking up there can really help the truck turn over the course of a run, especially with iRacing's dynamic track surfaces. Turn 3, same sort of situation. You can let it roll up the banking. Careful not to get into the gas too quick like I do right here, and the rear end is going to want to snap around on you. You're going to come out of turn 4, down the front stretch, and across the line. And that's going to complete our track guide here around Rockingham Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
Alright, so that is a lap around Rockingham Speedway. Well, a couple of laps around. You see the clock in the top left corner of your screen. That is counting down the time left in the 1 hour and 30 minute practice session. No trucks on track right now, as they're all having a drivers meeting ahead of just a 5-minute qualifying session, where each driver will have 2 laps to put on their best time. 16 drivers in total, including 8 drivers that are trying to advance into the championship round. Only 4 of them will make it through. Now there are the 8 drivers. However, Jordan Eriksson down there in 5th is one of our race winners in this elimination round of 8. Michael Kobach also has a race win, so those 2 are locked in. So then the battle is going to be for the top 2 drivers in the points who don't have a win yet. Right now that's between Brian Yazik, Nick Cohan and Josh Tanner. So even though Josh Tanner is 4th on the grid there, essentially he's actually 5th in the standings right now, and he needs to outscore Nick Cohan today. But Tanner, if Gary Whitson, Bryce Whitson or Austin Missler take a win tonight, that could throw a curveball into the mix, and Yazik or Cohan could be knocked out too.
It can throw definitely a curveball into the mix. Any of those bottom 4 win the race tonight. That'll knock out one of those drivers in the top 4 down below the cutoff line. So, but with the amount of drivers in the field tonight there, Sam, these drivers that are outside the top 4 are pretty much going to have to do their best to try to win the race, go for some gamble calls to be up there towards the front at the end.
Yeah, because there's only 16 trucks here, so that means there's not a whole lot of points to play for. If you win and your closest championship rival crashes out and finishes last place, well, you only gain about 15, 16 points on them. Meanwhile, the trucks are out on track right now, and they are getting ready to turn their qualifying laps. So I can tell you Michael Krobach is on the circuit, as a lot of other trucks. And here we go, we finally picked one up on camera. Here's the number 84 of Josh Tanner, a driver who was hoping he could win Las Vegas, and that's not going to help him win tonight. And he kind of got roughed up by Jordan Erickson in Las Vegas. He wasn't too happy about that because he knew Talladega would be a bit of a crapshoot. Right now though, Josh Tanner is going to be one driver, as we mentioned, we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on tonight in that battle with Brian Yazik and Nick Cohan.
Yep, for whatever happened at Las Vegas, you're going to have to throw that out the window and forget about it, because right now your focus is here at Rockingham Speedway, trying to do what you can to try to stay in the top 4 in points to advance to the final 4, and Josh Tanner certainly has to do that tonight. He can't focus on getting any boys or any revenge or boys have at it kind of deal. Right now he is on track trying to get a good qualifying lap. He was fastest. He was 3rd fastest. So I mean, we know he's got a fast truck. It's just a matter if he can stay up in the top 3 and finish in the top 3 tonight.
Now, iRacing has released a new patch, so that's why you're not seeing the times up there on screen right now. I can tell you, if you see a driver who has double digits next to their name, they're qualified 10th or back, that means they haven't been out there and turned on the lap yet, because we only have 9 drivers so far who have set a time. Right there you see Josh Tanner is one of them. Brian Yazik is one driver who has yet to set a time, and he's on track right now. He is a driver who potentially may not be in the round of 4. Jordan Erickson, we see him on screen. He definitely will be, because he has that win at Las Vegas. Yeah, Brian Yazik just jumped up to 2nd. Gary Whitson on provisional pole right now. Go ahead, Tanner.
Yeah, Gary Whitson showing that he's got the strength to win the race. He was 2nd fastest in the practice session. Now currently he is on the pole. Driver I want to keep an eye on tonight is Nick Cohan, the Jerky Man. Fastest in practice, ran some pretty solid lap times. He's on track right now, and I think he's doing his warm-up lap at the moment. But Nick Cohan's going to be another driver to watch out for tonight.
Yeah, and he's just started his hot lap here. Here we see him coming down the back straight towards turns 3 and 4. As you mentioned, he ran a very fast time in practice at 22.5. He only driver the break a 22.6 barrier. What can he do in qualifying?
2nd on the board. Look at the times there, Sam.
0.03 of a second closer than Gary Whitson. Nick Cohan does run 0.03 faster than what he did in practice, but Gary Whitson ran almost a 10th faster than what he did in practice. Nick Cohan started the 2nd lap there, but probably wasn't happy with the times. Anyhow, that looks like all the trucks who are going to turn the lap in qualifying, just 11 out of our 16 starters in total, and we'll go through the grid for you in just a moment here. Let's go ahead and give our True Power Pole Award winner. To our pole sitter will be the number 13 truck of Gary Whitson. Now let's not forget, as we're experiencing, well, not some technical issues right now, just dealing with a couple of new iRacing updates. So there you go, there's some upcoming races. We'll have pictures back on our screen before the field take the green flag. But yeah, Gary Whitson taking that pole award there, Tanner, and also being one of the fastest cars in qualifying. That's bad news for Brian Yazik, Nick Cohan and Josh Tanner, because Gary Whitson winning today would knock one of those out.
Yeah, it definitely would, because right now Gary Whitson is the truck that is literally outside looking in to get into the top 4, and Gary Whitson's proving he's got a fast truck tonight. Nick Cohan, if Nick Cohan can steal away from Gary Whitson tonight, that actually might save Brian Yazik. Time will only tell, but Brian Yazik, he's qualified 3rd tonight. I think he's pretty comfortable if he runs up there in the top 3 tonight. Scott Formosa sitting in 4th place so far in this qualifying session. He could spoil it for everybody to try to win Rockingham tonight. So if Scott Formosa wins this race tonight, Sam, I mean, that could change a little bit.
Absolutely good. And now the qualifying session has ended and our grid has been made official. As we mentioned, Gary Whitson has taken the True Power Pole Award, and he will line up alongside Nick Cohan for this 125 lap race here tonight to kick it all off. Brian Yazik and Scott Formosa, and then we have it on screen right there. We'll start 3rd and 4th, and we apologise for the technical difficulties there, but Brian Yazik, Scott Formosa on the 2nd row, Michael Krobach and Bryce Whitson on the 3rd row, then they're followed by Troy Haight and Josh Tanner, and Jordan Erickson and Jeffrey Gilliam rounding out the top 10, Tanner.
And outside the top 10, the last car to take a qualifying lap time is Michael Koenig in the 34 car, starting 11th. Mark McCrary will qualify 12th. Austin Missler will qualify in the 13th position. Mark Myers will qualify 14th. 15th is Jackie Palmore. And rounding out the top 16 field, it would be Tim Knott, as he is not yet grid yet, but he should be soon.
Yeah, just waiting for 2 drivers to grid up, and then it will just be 1 pace lap around the speedway here, just a little over 1 mile in length. I think we've talked about the championship scenario enough, but as you mentioned there, Tanner, there's a couple of drivers who have came into the series recently, not a part of a pursuit, that we'll definitely want to try and keep an eye on tonight. Scott Formosa's qualifying 4th is one of them, and also a driver who didn't turn a lap during qualifying, Mark McCrary, and at number 31 has been in the last few races, and he has been mixing it up at the front.
He's been mixing it up, and I think he's proven he has a fast truck, at least a top 5 truck tonight, Sam. He was 4th fastest in the practice. He didn't take a qualifying time, but he has gridded up one of the first cars not to take a qualifying time in the 12th position.
Alright, all of the trucks are gridded up on the track now, and sure enough, they are rolling away for their pace lap here behind the Ford Mustang pace car. I've got to be honest, Tanner, but I recall saying this the last time we did the broadcast here on the GSRC. I would not be surprised for there to be a few cautions here today. I know there's 16 trucks, which isn't a heck of a lot, but it's a very tricky track, and even though I think we're going to get a long green flag run probably to start this, later on in the race when these drivers begin pushing the limits, things can get ugly at the Rock.
Well, I've noticed in practice and qualifying, Sam, in the middle of the corners, especially down 3 and 4, the track is incredibly bumpy. And you hit those bumps wrong, the bumps can either snap the truck around or can throw the truck up the racetrack. That's something to really watch for tonight. This is a really old surface, bumpy surface, kind of like Kentucky in a way, but as these guys are coming to take the green flag.
Here they come out of turn 4. The Ford Mustang pace car about to make a hard left turn. Gary Whitson has control of the field on the low line. Green flag is in the air. Gary Whitson's leading them around. Who's going to make the championship round? We're about to find out.
Top 3 cars, single file. Top 4 cars, single file, headed down turn 1. Bryce Whitson going under number 80 of Scott Formosa. Scott Formosa looked like he did not get up the speed on the start of the race here, as he's going to follow right into the 5th position, down into the bumpy turn 3.
And Gary Whitson will come around to lead lap 1. Of course, he'll be hoping to lead lap number 125 tonight. That's the only way he's going to make it into the pursuit. Right now, it's that number 13 truck is sitting pretty in that top spot. Nick Cohan, Brian Yazik, 2nd and 3rd behind him. Here's a battle back in 6th.
Yeah, back here, Josh Tanner just picked off 2 trucks in one corner as he just got by Troy Hay, Michael Krobach. Michael Krobach stuck in the high side. Krobach really has nothing to worry about since he's locked into the next round, but he is dropping back like a fish, or like a rock.
Yeah, Krobok got on the brakes really early in turn 1, and Jordan Eriksson almost ran out to the back of him. That would have been 2 of our pursuit drivers. Would have made a heck of a lot of difference, though. They're the 2 drivers who already have wins. Meanwhile, Nick Cohan has run down Gary Whitson already for the lead, and it's only lap 4.
Yeah, only lap 4, and this track, another thing to keep in mind, folks, this track is so bumpy, it literally eats up the tires. With the cooler setting here in the late afternoon setting, it does help out a little bit, but that's besides the point. This track does eat up the tires as Cohan all over the back bumper of Gary Whitson, looking towards the inside, past the start-finish line as they head down turn 1. Here we go, battle for the race lead.
Cohan has the inside as they go through turns 1 and 2. Gary hits one of those bumps up on the high side, probably had to back off throttle a bit on the exit there. That yields the position to Nick Cohan. That's not good enough for Gary. The good news is he still has 120 laps to get it back.
I don't know if you agree, Sam, but I think if Nick Cohan wins this race, that would actually help out drivers like Brian Yazzie, because Cohan's already in the top 4 in the points.
It would, but Yazik's doing exactly what he needs to be doing there in 3rd, and Bryce Whitson, meanwhile, back there in 4th position. Haven't mentioned him yet, but he's going to be a driver we're going to have to keep an eye on, because the reason he's so far back in points, he had a good race at Talladega, as he's actually about to lose 4th here to Scott Formosa. Although, yeah, he shut the door on him a bit there on the entry of 1. But the reason Bryce is so far back in points is because we believe he had a power outage at the start of the Las Vegas race.
Yeah, he did, but right now he's shown strong earlier in the going. He was under attack from Scott Formosa there as they came off of turn number 2. This time around, Scott Formosa, he actually got loose a little bit out of turn number 2 and lost some momentum to Bryce Whitson. But so far, he is keeping tabs with him.
Yeah, well, Bryce wasn't really willing to yield the position to Formosa. Of course, the reason Scott's back there, Scott had a good qualifying, but he just didn't get off to a great start. He's trying to come back from that now. But Bryce driving defensively, he has the right to do that, and Scott actually gets in the wall on the front straight.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get into the wall here, Sam, and like you said, this track is easier said than done. As you were just talking about Bryce Whitson, Bryce Whitson's actually in the same boat pretty much as Gary Whitson. They are both tied in points, minus 24 back from the points leader. So Bryce Whitson will pretty much, with the amount of cars in this field, Bryce Whitson's going to have to try to win this race along with Gary Whitson as well.
Of course, one promising thing they still have on their side is all 16 trucks are still in a race and still on the lead lap, so if it were to come down to a race in points, if one of the top 4 drivers were to crash, they could fall all the way back to 16th. But right now the whole field is single file. I know we had a bit of a battle for 10th going on screen right now. Those guys still running quite close. Michael Krobok ahead of Mark McCrary and Austin Missler. Kind of surprising to see those 3 drivers that far back this early on in the race. But then again, it is early on.
Yeah, Krobok actually lost 5 positions since the drop of the green flag in the first 10 laps. Right now, he's going to be, looks like Mark McCrary looking towards the inside, does not think about it at the moment. Oh, washes the track. There goes one of those bumps that Krobok must have hit it, and Mark McCrary takes advantage of it and slides right underneath him off of turn 2.
Clean and green so far. We're used to seeing this in the iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series and also in iRacing in general. All the drivers usually and Bryce Whitson gets loose off of 2. I jinxed it. There's no caution. He scraped the wall with his rear spoiler. There's no caution flag because it was on the apron. I don't think he's got too much damage to his truck. His tyres are going to be shot. He may still be able to use strategy later on to try and get back in this though.
Yeah, if we could look at it. Yeah, he caught the apron, Sam, as you've seen on the replay. He was trying to ride down there by the yellow line and caught just a little bit too much of it because plus it's bumpy down there on the bottom as well. Caught a little bit of that apron yellow line and the truck snapped loose on him. And I'm seeing pretty minor damage on that that 00 machine, HPP simulation machine, but I think he'll be okay, but he's going to need a caution to catch back up.
Yeah, well, he only dropped to 14th. The field had gotten spread out very early on here, and he didn't lose a whole lot of time with that moment. He moves up to 13th, ahead of Tim Knott there, who has to back out on the exit of a turn, otherwise he was going to knock a turn 2 wall down. That means Knott is now under threat by Mark Myers here for 40.
Up towards front, Gary Whitson, he's gotten a little bit closer to Nick Cohan.
Yeah, not within striking range right now though, but he's just keeping him honest. We'll see who does the best with conserving their tyres in the long run here. Could be a lot of drivers out there playing that game right now, just taking it easy. We'll see what they have in about 20-30 laps time if we're still green.
Yeah, I don't know how long you want to let those race leaders look away there, Sam, because that being said, because look at the times right here. Brian Yazik's about 2 seconds back from the top 2 drivers, and Scott Formosa is about 3 seconds back from Brian Yazik, so that's 5 seconds back from the race leader, and then 6.5 seconds is Josh Tanner from the race leader.
These onboards really giving you an idea of just how bumpy this circuit is. Meanwhile, and caution on the circuit. Yeah, Mark Myers has spun on the back straight.
Looks like another turn 2 incident there, Sam. The only thing I can think of is he may have caught the apron.
Yeah, well, we see the replay there, and then he's fighting it all the way down the backstretch. The problem is, him being stuck up at the wall like that, he's had to let all of the leaders basically go by, and now he finally gets going again.
Right there, you see it. He catches the apron of the racetrack.
Yeah, sorry, Jackie Pelmore was smoking his tyres on down the back straight. I wasn't really sure why there, but yeah, so Mark Myers has actually lost a lap to the leaders. Of course, he's the first and only truck 1 lap down, but he brought out this caution and wasn't a lap down when it flew, so he won't get the wave around this time by. Nick Cohan leads the leaders into the pits. Gary Whitson behind him.
Yeah, Bryce Whitson was another driver that kind of needed that caution to regain what he lost. So hopefully he can gain all those positions back. But yeah, Nick Cohan leading the field down pit road. And I assume these drivers are going to take a 4-tire pit stop. But who knows? I can be wrong. These drivers can be very gutsy like Nick Cohan. I've seen Nick Cohan take some gutsy calls before, but that's when he is not the race leader. Let's see if anybody takes 2 tires. Maybe, maybe not. I'm seeing right sides go up right now on every single driver on pit road. Nick Cohan drops the jack, goes to the left side, the left side tires are going up. So everybody's taking 4 tires. Josh Tanner will take 2 tires though.
Yeah, Nick Cohan wins the race off the drivers on 4 tires coming out of the pit. So of course he led them in. But as you mentioned, Josh Tanner will take 2 tires. We'll wait and see how that plays out for him. Bryce Whitson, even though he had that big slide down the back straight, he takes 2 tires. It doesn't surprise me. We're used to seeing him do that. So he'll gain some track position. We'll wait and see if Tanner and Bryce can remain up front. I think they're the only 2 who took 2 tires.
Yeah, I think those are the only 2 to take tires. I can quickly double check here as well. Yes, you're correct. Josh Tanner 2 tires, Bryce Whitson 2 tires. Yep, those are the 2 drivers I see that took 2 tires.
And Mark Myers is currently the first one behind the pace car. That's because he's going to get the wave around here. Of course, he will be on very old tires. He'll be hoping for a quick caution. Well, it doesn't have to be quick though. It'll be 30 laps before he is forced to come into the pits, but still, we'll be yelling for new tyres after just about 5 or 10 laps, I'm sure.
They're curious to see how, because that was almost a 20-lap run on tires. Not quite, but very close. Just to see how these 2 tires are really going to hold up, and plus the no tires on Mark Myers. But you have to remember there, Sam, this seems like the only time these drivers are really having some kind of handling issue is when they get really close to that yellow line on the bottom of the corners of the racetrack, just like on the exit of turn 2, and accidentally get a little bit too low and clip that apron.
Yeah, well, that's the only time we see the negative effects of a handling issue. When you look at the race lap times, let's just take Nick Cohan, for example. He was running 22.7s at the start of a run. Before the caution came out, he was running about half a second slower. That's not horrible, but I mean, well, I guess half a second slow on the 22nd lap racetrack after just 18 laps. Okay, that does make it sound a little bit worse. Josh Tanner has clean air to his advantage here. Bryce Whitson, it might be interesting to keep an eye on him, but we're used to seeing Bryce take 2 tires. He knows what he's in for, and I'm sure Josh Tanner has done it a few times throughout the season too. But as we mentioned, he has clean air. How much of a jump can he get on Nick Cohan and Gary Whitson here? And who will win that battle for second? Will Gary be able to use that bottom lane to his advantage?
Just might, but I think Nick Cohan might get him on the higher side. Look like Cohan and Gary Whitson have even cars. Pace car heads down in pit road. Josh Tanner, he goes right now on the loud pedal. Green flag. We are back racing as it looks like that's a side-by-side battle for the second place possibly. Nope, they're going to get strung out single file. Oh, wow. Close to the back bumper of Nick Cohan.
Alright, well, Josh Tanner has a few track lamps on our second place truck right now. Let's see how much it changes in turn 3. Nick Cohan has a lot of grip underneath him. He is able to close the gap, but right now Tanner leads lap 24.
Yeah, give Cohen a couple laps here, there, Sam. I think he'll get to Josh Tanner. I don't know how long those 2 tires are going to last, but one thing you do have to play in consideration is that we are in a late afternoon type setting, which does affect the track temperature greatly. The track temperature is 83 degrees, so it's not really hot out there on the racetrack, Sam, and the tires like that. As look like Nick Cohan looks like he's going to go towards the inside of Josh Tanner. Josh Tanner to the high side. Battle for the race lead.
Yeah, Nick Cohan pushes up on the exit of turn 2 and can't make it stick yet. Meanwhile, Bryce Whitson has only just begun to lose a couple of spots back. He's on 2 tires as well, and now Tanner is finally beginning to drop back. Nick Cohan takes the lead. Gary Whitson looking for second.
Wow, these guys are really close to each other, and with this battle that's going on, it brought Brian Yazik and Scott Formosa up there with them, but they have nowhere to go at the moment. Looks like Josh Tanner was going to go towards the inside, thought better of it, kind of backed off entering turn 3.
Yeah, Josh just trying to hold on.
Formosa hit the wall.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen that tonight. I think it was a moment at the back of the field coming out 3 or 4 or something, because the drivers about 10th on back have really dropped back of the driver in 9th about 2 seconds.
Something did happen. I did see Jackie Pelmore hit the wall down there in turn 1 and 2. If something did happen, I definitely missed it.
Well, they're all still on the track, pointing in the right direction, and all 16 trucks still on the lead lap, although Mark Myers will have to come in about 20 laps' time. Meanwhile, Josh Tanner is losing the 3rd position now to Brian Yazik.
Looks like Yazik's going to complete the pass as Scott Formosa wants to follow Yazik here. Does, but Yazik got close to that bottom yellow line down there by the apron, but he kept it under control. Scott Formosa still battling with Josh Tanner.
Yeah, Josh Tanner was not willing to yield that position. He did run Formosa down the track a little bit, like we saw Bryce do to I think it was to Formosa earlier on in the race, down in turn 1, but they get through without incident.
Little update
Talking about Bryce, he's holding on to just 8th place right now, Tanner.
Yeah, I was just about to say about Bryce Whitson holding on to 8th place, lost a couple spots in that restart, but so far he's remaining in the top 10. It is a better position than being outside the top 10 after he had that self-spin out of turn number 2. And as you said at the top of the show, Sam, it is crunch time, and that's what Bryce Whitson did. He took 2 tires to get that track position back. So we'll see how this 2-tire strategy plays up if it keeps him in the top 10.
With Nick Cohan leading the race right now, if he were to win, that would mean him, Grobok and Ericsson would be moving through. And then I guess Brian Yazik running in 3rd place there would be the only driver to get in on points. But let's stop talking about points as they run, because we still have 100 laps to go. But it just gives you an idea of how critical winning this race is. On the points board, you could be seeing Josh Tanner running 4th in the points, but he would not be able to make the pursuit. Meanwhile, though, will Nick Cohan win this race? Gary Whitson has closed right back on his rear bumper.
Man, Nick Gary Whitson's driving he's driving hard, man. I'm telling you, he got up to that back bumper of the 21 just a little bit, and he's just as fast as Cohan. He gets a nice run off turn number 4 just like that, using that draft on the front stretch just a little bit. As they head down to turn 1, man, Gary's really keeping tabs with Cohan, and that is a great thing. That's what Gary needs to do, too.
Yeah, well, he needs to find a way by him, and that's going to be very hard for him to do. It seems there's not a whole lot of passing during the race, Utana, and who can blame him? It's as he proves me wrong.
That's what Gary was trying to do, is trying to get the run on the exit of the corner. That way he can get side by side with Nick Cohan and challenge him for the race lead, and he did just that as he goes for the lead off turn number 2. Oh,
yeah,
wow,
you really have to think about how you need to make a pass here, and Gary did exactly that. It took him a couple laps, but then he finally pulled off a well-timed move.
Well-timed move, but another battle that's going to be heating up here is just right behind them. That is Brian Yazik and Scott Formosa. Scott Formosa got to the back bumper a couple times to Yazik, but wasn't able to get a pass on him just yet. But right now he's riding single file through the bumpy turns 3 and 4. Holy cow, these tracks are awfully bouncing in the corners.
So Formosa trying to make a move by Yazik. It's lap 38 right now, still a long ways to go. But Formosa seems to have been making mistakes early on in the runs today, and because we've seen him passing a lot of trucks, we've also seen a lot of trucks making defensive moves to stop him from passing. Now, as I was mentioning, those are very effective considering the fact and Scott hit that apron you were talking about, Tanner. That's going to cost him a lot of time down the back straight.
Yeah, wow, and he's getting blown by a lot of drivers, and you gotta be careful entering the corner like that, because you don't want to wash up the corner when drivers are trying to pass you. But Scott Formosa had a big scary moment there. He's had a couple incidents by scraping the wall on the exit of the corner a little bit, but so far he's kept his truck under control as we remain green. Oh, he hits the wall again off turn number 2.
Yeah, he got the right side, scraped the wall down the back straight, and I was taking note of the driver behind him. Bryce Whitson restarted 6th on 2 tyres, dropped back to 8th, but he has actually worked his way back up into the 7th position ahead of Troy Haight there. And now if Scott Formosa knocks the wall down a couple more times, he could be looking to get back up in 6th where he restarted.
Yes, he will, but Bryce Whitson's got to keep an eye on that number 82, because if he does try to tear down the wall again, he's got to try to avoid that number 80, because if he doesn't avoid him, that could be big championship implications for Bryce Whitson.
Meanwhile, for the first time tonight, it looks like our leaders are about to have to deal with lap traffic. Jackie Pelmore, we mentioned there may have been an incident shortly after the restart. He's running a bit off the pace there, and he's got 2 leaders still running nose to tail for the lead, with Gary Whitson ahead of Nick Cohan right now. Pelmore goes to the high side trying to stay out of the way, and actually grazes the wall on the exit of a turn, and Brian Yazik blows by him too. So, first lap car knocked down quite cleanly for the leaders. The good news about 16 trucks being on the track, they won't have to worry about lap traffic too much.
Man, I tell you what, I keep watching the race leaders, Sam, and I thought Kentucky was probably one of the most bumpiest racetracks on iRacing. This is proving me wrong. Rockingham Speedway is the bumpiest racetrack on iRacing, in my opinion. I mean, just the way these trucks have been bouncing, these top 2 leaders have been really bouncing. I mean, especially the onboard camera views that we've been having tonight, it really proves how bumpy this track is. As you can see, Nick Cohan, he's been getting up to that back bumper of that 13 truck with Gary Whitson, doing the same thing what Gary did to him. Looks like he lost a little momentum there.
Well, with a tendency to the NASCAR Truck Series to pick up all the road courses that NASCAR are interested in running on, maybe one day they'll take them to Sebring, then we'll see how bumpy these trucks are around Sebring.
Well, how about if we take the trucks to the Nürburgring?
I'd be up for that. Not sure how well these trucks turn. It would probably be just a 1-lap race. Meanwhile, Mark Myers, I think, is announcing that he's just came out of no, he's coming into the pits right now. And remember, he did not pit under that first caution because he brought the first caution out, went a lap down, tried to get his lap back by taking the waiver out, it's backfiring on him a bit here as he's forced to come into the pits. The leaders will be in about 20 laps time.
Yeah, leaders will be in until then, they're saying, but 2 trucks will remain a lap down at the moment. That is Jackie Pelmer and Mark Myers. Michael Koenig is actually 17.4 seconds and losing more time to the race leaders. So if we stay green, Koenig will join them as the 1 lap down markers.
Yeah, it will take a little while though. It's a 24-second lap track right now, so he's got 7 seconds ahead of him. Meanwhile, there might actually be a battle brewing for the leaders again here. We're riding on Paul Cohan. Just how close he is getting to Gary Whitson here. Gets a good
suck
round.
up! Oh, he bumps him on the backstretch, give him a little bump draft.
Try and pull away from Brian Yazik.
Man, look how track this. Man, I just can't get over how bumpy this track is. Look at the truck. Even look at Gary Whitson's truck. How bouncy his truck's been.
Found it's very handy on the motorcycle to watch the headlights of cars when they bounce up and down on the road. It kind of warns you. It kind of warns you that there's a bump ahead. Very handy on the motorcycle. Just a little tidbit there for anyone who takes up motorbike riding in the near future. Meanwhile, they are completing lap 50 this time. If it was 100 laps, this would be halfway, but it's not. It's 125. Got some extra racing here at this 1 mile circuit in North Carolina. And why not? They're putting on a great show up front right now between these two. Of course, there's a few other pursuit drivers who would hope that they could get up front there and mix it up too.
Tell you what, a little update on the trucks that did take 2 tires on the first pit stop. Josh Tanner and Bryce Whitson. Josh Tanner did get by Scott Formosa, but they just swapped positions again. Now Josh Tanner will fall back to 6th, and Bryce Whitson still in 7th. So the 2-tire strategy is so far keeping those trucks in the top 10.
Let's not forget the reason Scott Formosa back there right now is because of a moment he had out of turn 2, and now he's actually going to lose that position to Josh Tanner again. Oh, or maybe not. Boy, Scott Formosa, it hasn't always been him. I know Bryce did it to him earlier, but it seems he's gotten very close to other trucks in turn 1 today, but they've gotten through all of them in incident 3. But as these 3 trade positions for 5th, 6th and 7th, that's allowing Jordan Erickson in 4th to pull away a bit.
A little bit, and if those 2 drivers keep on battling, that's going to invite Bryce Whitson to be in the popcorn seat, whether they wreck or he might take advantage of something.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what Bryce can do on 4 tires late on, considering he's running a pretty solid pace on 2 tires here.
It is pretty tough to pass here at Rockingham.
Yeah, and of course there's something to be said for the fact that it's a fixed setup series, and usually fixed setups on iRacing are a little bit tight. The trucks understeer a bit. If you do take 2 tires, you can loosen up the truck a bit, just the way it works, and that can actually pay dividends for you.
Nick Cohen got a huge run off the corner number 2 once again, but didn't do anything about it as he's still keeping tabs with Gary Whitson. I am just loving the racing between the top 2 drivers right now, Sam.
Yeah, and it may be very single file, but that's because we're still in the first half of a race. Sure, both of these drivers want to be out in front. Meanwhile, an update from Jeffrey Gilliam, one of the drivers who began the pursuit in the top 12 in points, but has since been knocked out. Just out there racing for race wins now. He's not going to get one tonight at this rate. He's been outside the top 10, so he's going to play a bit of a strategy card, take an early pit stop.
I am seeing some left front quarter damage. I don't know if that's glitching my end or what, but at least I'm seeing some left front damage on that number 61 Sim Racing Apps machine as he goes down into his pit box right there, stops on the markers. Looks like he's going to take advantage of early pit stop, as you did say, Sam. So that might call some drivers to come down pit road soon.
Austin Missler is also in. Troy Haight coming in from the top 10. Now, of course, if we're saying these trucks can get about 50 laps on fuel, they could make it to the end pitting around lap 75. The problem is I don't think any of these trucks can stretch it that far, considering the fact our first and so far only caution of the race flew on lap 18. Gary Whitson announcing the leaders coming into the pits this time by.
Alright, well, with that being said, I think Cohen's going to follow. Cohen's following.
Alright, we got a race on pit road here.
Yazik will pick up a bonus point for leading a lap. I think this will be a call for Yazik to come down pit road, though.
Of course, he'll probably be losing half a second out there on those older tyres right now. Alright, both of these drivers hit their marks. Nick got into his pit stall a bit better than what Gary did.
That could mean a lot, too. They're saying we'll just have to see how much that would mean once they exit pit road. Actually, they leave at the same time. Holy cow.
Yeah, I think Gary actually got a bit of a jump, but it paid off well for him. Cohan, though, still right behind him. It's like nothing happened at all. Meanwhile, Brian Yazik and the rest of the leaders continue to circulate out there on the racetrack.
Yazik, Jordan Erickson, we haven't talked about him too much tonight. He actually is one of the fastest trucks in the points standings due to what his stats show. So far, he's running up in second due to the pit stops for the first time tonight.
Troy Haight. He was one of the drivers who at pit was trying to make the most of his new tyres by going around the trucks who had yet to pit on the inside. He was just flying by them, but he caught that apron that you've mentioned several times here tonight, Tanner. And rightfully so, because it made a big difference here. Troy Haight doesn't bring out a caution. That's not going to help out Troy's race.
Oh man, he almost missed the barrels, but he ended up hitting the barrels at the entrance of pit road, and I see some pretty good damage on that front end nose there of Troy Haight.
Jackie Palmore down pit road. Other trucks continuing to circulate here. Of course, they don't want to risk going a lap down by pitting, but then of course, how much time are they losing by staying out there?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I mean, the drivers that did, like the race leaders, Gary Whitson, Nick Cohan, they pitted 40 laps into that run, and Brian Yazik's been out there for about 47 laps now, along with Jordan Erickson. So all that being said, the drivers that have stayed out is from first place to 8th place. That's Brian Yazik, Jordan Erickson, Josh Tanner, Scott from Orsa, Bryce Whitson, Mark McCrary, Michael Krobach.
Yeah, Mark McCrary just came into the pit. Tell you what, after the solid performances we've seen Mark put on in the last few rounds, he really hasn't made a lot of noise tonight.
Yeah, not a lot of noise tonight there, Sam. Been caught up in traffic all night long. He's on pit road right now. But hopefully he can get on up there, at least get a solid top 10 finish. Did start 12th tonight.
Tell you what, even though Brian Yazik hasn't pit yet, as Scott Formosa comes into the pit this time by, Yazik's still out there running pretty solid times. Granted, they're nothing compared to what he would be doing if he was on new tyres, but the old tyres don't seem to be hurting him too badly.
No, they haven't. And Brian Yazik, his best lap time, personal best time of the race was a 22.921. His last time by at the start finish line was a 23.983. So that's about a second off of his lap time. So it's not too bad. But the drivers like Nick Cohen who pitted are running 22.9 second lap times. That's a second faster. So the longer you stay out there, the more you're technically losing time to the drivers that have pitted.
Tim Knott just came into the pits. I'm not sure he had the best entry though. He was way woed up over in turn 4. I think he probably lost himself a few seconds there. Maybe he was just trying to err on the side of caution. Brian Yazik, Jordan Erickson, Josh Tanner and Bryce Whitson continue to pace the field around, haven't yet pit, as has Michael Krobach. Jordan Erickson in now.
How many laps did we say that these drivers could go. It was like 50-some laps on fuel. 51 to 53. Okay, you want to know what I think Brian Yazik is starting to do here? I think he's trying to make it to where he could pit here and not pit again, because we do have 54 laps to go.
Yeah, and it looks like
I think that's a strategy call.
He's going to be able to do it, yeah. Which begs the question, why haven't other drivers, if they could make it to the end on one stop? Mind you, Brian's on the radio right now. Oh, these drivers must be pushing it then. If Brian Yazik is going as far as he can, and now he's coming into the pits, yeah, he's going to need a caution, but I think honestly we're probably going to get one. Meanwhile, our first official retirement of a race, Troy Haight, the driver we saw knock her front clip off on the tyre barrier a little while ago.
Alright, so that would mean 15 drivers will be on track. Still live in this event here, as Jackie Pelmer will be 15th position, 4 laps down. So Brian Yazik is on pit road. I believe he's going to take some 4 tires and fill it up with some fuel and do his best to try to make it to the end. And if that's the case there, Sam, I think Yazik, maybe Bryce Whitson and Josh, Bryce is on pit road now, and Josh Tanner's on pit road.
Yeah, it was quite a heavy moment between Josh Tanner and Bryce Whitson coming in. They were 3 wide with another vehicle on the track. Bryce was a lot late on the brakes to come down to commit to pit road. We'll catch in the tail end of a replay there. We might be able to get a view from the overhead shot. You see Josh commits, and then Bryce actually passes him on pit entry. He's like, oh, you don't need to be braking that early, Josh. And I think he got woed down in time. It was just a bit hairy with a couple of 3 wide scenarios with the trucks on the track. I think it...
There might have been contact because Bryce Whitson's got some rear end damage.
This is his cousin, Gary. Yeah, there was contact between them.
And be careful on Gary Whitson's part, because with that front end nose damage there, Sam, that can mean temperatures might be going up. You never know, but I mean, I've seen some weird things happen in iRacing before.
So, with pit stop cycling through, Gary Whitson is the lead of this race, but how's that damage affected him? It doesn't look like it is right now. He's still holding on ahead of Nick Cohan.
Yeah, so far it's not looking like it's, affecting Gary Whitson whatsoever as they go by the lap car of Michael Koenig, who's going to go 2 laps down now. So damage is not really, I don't think it's not really affecting him, because if it was affecting him, Nick Cohan, as fast as he is, would probably been blown by him already.
Yeah, I do wonder. I think we saw trucks pitting as late as lap 75 here. You've got to think that those drivers can make it to the end. Some drivers, though, pitting as early as lap 60 have got to pit again. But all of a sudden, a pit stop may cost you a lap, but that may not cost you that many positions, because we only have 8 trucks on the lead lap now. Such has been the play of strategies and just different pace of the drivers throughout the race, that they can be spanning. Jackie Pelmore is in 15th place, 3 laps down. Gary Whitson leads just 8 trucks on the lead lap right now.
Brian Yazik lost a lot of time to leaders, but he's starting to gain those times back as he's got fresher tires than what Nick Cohan and Gary Whitson did. It was a 12 seconds. Right now, Brian Yazik has managed to knock it down to 11.6 seconds. So he's gaining time on the top 2 cars. Lost a lot of time, but it might be a beneficiary for him in the later run.
Yeah, so Gary Whitson, Nick Cohan and Brian Yazik are first 3 on the lead lap of those 8 cars we were mentioning, or 8 trucks rather. Jordan Erickson in 4th place, running all on his lonesome. Bryce Whitson 5th, and that is something we're definitely going to want to keep an eye on, considering the fact he pitted late in that cycle. So he's got some really fast tyres right now. He might be able to run down Jordan Erickson for that 4th position. Back there in 6th place, Josh Tanner, likewise on new tyres, ahead of Mark McCrary, who was one of the early stoppers. That has got him up there in 7th place. And Scott Formosa, who has had a very eventful race so far, last driver on the lead lap in 8th.
Michael Krobach in 9th place, 1 lap the first car, 1 lap down. So if we do get a caution, providing Krobach not getting involved in any kind of incident, he would receive the DSD Lucky Dog. Austin Missler right behind him is trying to get that Lucky Dog position. He's currently sitting in 10th place, 1 lap down.
Tell you what, I thought Josh Tanner would be pulling away from the drivers in 7th and 8th and closing up on 5th, but the times suggest otherwise. We could have a 3-way battle, and actually we have a battle almost on track for the lead again here.
Yeah, he took a look. Cohan's been looking even before the pit stops even began. But I tell you what, if there's 2 drivers on the racetrack that have been really keeping tabs with each other all race long, it's these 2 drivers right here, Gary Whitson and Nick Cohan.
And Gary Whitson needs to win to advance into the pursuit. Whereas Nick Cohan, well, in a way, he needs to as well, because if Gary Whitson wins here, that means Krobach, Whitson, and Ericsson were getting on wins, but Cohan would not be the top driver in on points. Brian Jarzik is ahead of him in points.
Yeah, if anybody, it's gonna knock anybody. If anything, it's gonna knock anybody out there, Sam. It may be Josh Tanner, quite honestly, because as they sit right now, just regular point standings: Krobach, Jarzik, Cohan, Josh Tanner, and Jordan Ericsson's the top 5. But Ericsson and Krobach are locked into the next round. So if you move Ericsson up there in 2nd place, that would knock Josh Tanner down into the 5th, and Cohan 4th.
Yeah, and here goes Cohan. He's taken that position from Gary Whitson right now. So now it would move him. Now he would get in with the win. The problem is, of course, this is basically a win for a race for the final pursuit position. Because Brian Jarzik looks like he will get in on points. Michael Krobach and Jordan Ericsson already have wins. Who's going to be the 3rd driver to get a win and the 4th driver to lock into the pursuit? Right now it is a toss-up between Nick Cohan and Gary Whitson, and now Nick Cohan has the preferred position as he takes the lead here with a little over 30 laps left to go.
Maybe Nick Cohan doesn't have to win the race, but I'm sure he wants to win this race, and he's doing exactly that, getting by Gary Whitson, and Gary Whitson knows that, but he's saying, hey, I got to win too if I want to, really advance into the next round. I'm a bit more of a hole than what Nick is, but, I mean, these guys, they're proving they are racing out there, and they both want to win this race.
Yeah, well, as long as Brian Jarzik is running out there in 3rd place, he'll be the driver who gets in on points. Now, the only way Nick Cohan will get in by being up there as high in points is if Brian Jarzik has a big moment and drops back to 10th or so in the race. But right now he's running pretty solid out there in 3rd position, but he is a driver we'll have to keep an eye on in case something does happen to him later on. Meanwhile, a bit of a battle shaping up for 4th. Bryce Whitson has run down Jordan Ericsson.
Hey, that's good news for Bryce Whitson, though. Bryce Whitson needs that, but he's pretty much in the same boat as Gary Whitson because they are both tied in points. And with the amount of guys here tonight, Sam, are in this field, and considering the guys are on the lead lap right now, the top 8, as Bryce Whitson looks underneath Ericsson. Down into turn number 3, contact. Oh, close. Maybe there was contact. But if anything, it shoved Ericsson up the track just a little bit.
Yeah, and Bryce falls back behind, but he definitely wants that 4th position. Like you mentioned there, Tanner, Bryce pretty much has to win to advance into the pursuit. Well, 4th place won't get him into the pursuit, but 4th is a heck of a lot better than 5th. And of course, it's 1 position closer to that top spot. But he is running out of time. Although, granted, Bryce is probably one of a few drivers left out there who I think can actually make it to the end on fuel.
Make it to the end on fuel, he would have to worry about Ericsson and Jarzik because Brian Jarzik pitted maybe about a lap or 2 before what Bryce Whitson did, and Jarzik actually maybe borderline than that. Did pit with 53 to go.
Yeah, well, we know Josh Tanner and Bryce Whitson were the last 2 drivers into the pit. But Tanner is behind Bryce Whitson, which isn't good news for Josh Tanner. That pretty much means he won't advance into the pursuit. And we remember when we interviewed him after he placed in second at Las Vegas.
Man, Bryce Whitson got right underneath, slid across his bumper of Jordan Erickson there, got underneath him coming off turn 4. Their side-by-side battle. Lap car might play a factor here, using a lap car as a pick. Bryce Whitson, and that shoves Gilliam up into the wall. These guys are still making contact.
They're very close to making contact. They haven't done it yet, but if they do, it will be ugly. Jeffrey Gilliam was actually in the wall down the back straight. I thought that was going to hold Jordan Erickson up, but now Bryce finally takes that 4th position. Just got 3 more left to go. How many of them can he get on strategy, though?
But did you see what Bryce Whitson did there on the backstretch? He actually pinned Jordan Erickson on that higher side because they were coming up on a lap car, and there's really nowhere for Jeffrey Gilliam to go but to stay on that higher side of the groove of the racetrack, and he pinned Jordan Erickson up there and completed the pass.
And let's see what the lap times are here, because perhaps Brian Jarzik could be trying to conserve fuel. He just ran a 23.4 and Bryce did as well, so if he is trying to conserve fuel, he didn't do it that lap. I don't know though, I think Brian probably pitted late enough where he can make it to the end on fuel. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, currently on my pit, last time they were on pit road stuff is a little bit glitching out on me. Oh, we got trouble?
Yeah, Kohan just hit the wall out of turn 2.
Oh, that was our race leader.
Yeah, that probably dented his truck up a bit. We'll have to watch his times over the next couple of laps. You'll hear here, he does hit it pretty good.
That's a pretty good lick. I don't know if it's going to be enough damage to damage this truck to slow his truck down, because you got to remember, Gary Whitson earlier in the race, Sam, made contact with his cousin's rear bumper, and it didn't slow Gary down.
Well, let's the stopwatch knows all. Here we go. Nick Kohan, 23.6. Actually pulls away from Gary Whitson by half a second that lap. It helped him.
Fastest car on track I'm seeing right now so far here, Sam. Last time by would be Bryce Whitson in the 4th position.
Gary is pitting. Gary is saying, I cannot make it to the end on fuel.
That's less than 25 laps to go, but this might mean for Nick Kohan to come down pit road, though, Sam.
Well, for Gary's pursuit chances, if one driver can stay out there and make it to the end on fuel...
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, or Bryce Whitson or Josh Tanner. That's all it would take to knock Gary out of a shot at the pursuit. 2 tires only.
That's a very quick pit stop for Gary Whitson. And I don't know if Nick Kohan, if he does come down pit road and take 4 tires, you know what that means. Gary Whitson would make a lot of time on Nick Kohan. We'll just have to wait and see how this all fans out here, but this pit strategy is getting interesting.
Yeah, well, we've only had 1 caution all race long. It was on lap 18. So it's been a strategy race ever since then, and the drivers who probably thought, hey, we're going to go green to the end, are benefiting now. Of course, if a caution does fly, that'll change up everything a bit.
Sam, I just wonder, is Bryce Whitson catching Jarzik?
No, he's only about a second behind. We mentioned earlier that Jarzik may consider conserving fuel, but he was running pretty good times at that point. Maybe he hadn't started yet.
Well, Bryce Whitson had to let Mark McCrary go by. That's just because I think Crary's on fresher tires.
Yeah, he came into the pits a little bit ago. And I see what's happened here. Bryce is a lot closer to Jarzik right now, but Jarzik has just had to go through a whole lot of lap traffic. that Bryce is going to have to deal with before he catches Jarzik. So I think that will actually open that interval back up a bit.
I definitely agree with you there, Sam, but we're coming down to it. It's crunch time. What kind of fuel strategy or pit strategy these guys have up their sleeves, I don't know, but a truck I'm kind of worried about on that pit strategy is Nick Coham, because he pitted much, much sooner than what Brian Jarzik did. You got to remember that. About a 12 laps difference between the first and second place right now on tires and fuel.
Jeffrey Gilliam just pit. Tim Knott coming down pit road. Closing in. Not that many laps left to go now, but still a whole lot that can change. And of course, and I see some tyre smoke over in turns 1 and 2. I don't see anything going on down the back straight. Must have just been blown over from a truck coming out of their pit stall.
Oh boy, I think... Uh-oh.
Yeah, Bryce Whitson got very close to Jeffrey Gilliam coming out of turn 4, and that's actually going to cost Bryce a lot of momentum, and he gets hit by Jordan Erickson. Drift saves it.
Wow, what a save. That could have been big.
Yeah, Josh Tanner will capitalise on that. They're actually going 3 wide right now down into turn 3. Yeah, they get out of that. We'll keep a replay playing here because that could have been ugly over in turn 3.
Boy, I tell you what, boys, this isn't Talladega like last week, fellas. This is a much different, bumpier track.
Yeah, look at Josh Tanner. He was in 5th. This was all 4 position. 3 wide battle for 3rd. And Bryce holds on to it. And now he's just lost it. Josh Tanner has just moved up into 3rd position. And that's big because Tanner and Bryce were the last 2 to pit. So if anyone can make it to the end, these 2 can. And so this could potentially be a battle for the win right here. Bryce taking it back.
Oh my gosh, Bryce Whitson got really close to the 84 of Josh Tanner there, trying to pinch him up there just a little bit. But yeah, this is a huge battle going on here, Sam, between 3 trucks. This means a lot.
Yes, because Josh Tanner and Bryce Whitson, and Tanner gets into side of Jordan Erickson there, and those were the 2 that made contact while battling for the win at Las Vegas. Bryce got a couple wheels on the apron there, gets loose coming out on the exit, and Cohan is into the pit.
Cohan's into the pit. Man, Erickson dove it in there. Couldn't make the exit stick for him, though.
Yeah, and Josh Tanner has no sympathy for Ericsson right now because he knows that the one driver that beat him in Las Vegas and cost him a shot at advancing into the championship. Oh, and Bryce loses it, comes up, hits
Caution
Tanner.
is out! Oh no!
And that's Austin Mitzler getting the last bit of the incident there. So Josh Tanner and Bryce Whitson will not advance into the championship round.
Unbelievable, and that's actually kind of big too there, Sam, because guess what? Before that caution came out, Gary Whitson was a lap down, but he passed Jarzik already, then the caution came out, so Gary Whitson's still on the lead lap.
With fresh tyres and not having to worry about conserving fuel. Now, Bryce, you see there, he just made the same mistake he had the lap before. Got on the apron coming out of turn 2 and the track wasn't as generous to him that time. And into the pits comes Brian Jarzik and Jordan Erickson. They can't make it to the end on fuel. Josh Tanner is staying out on track with a blown engine. I don't think he can try and win the race like that.
Yeah, but in Brian Jarzik's case right here, I think tires is going to mean matter in the final laps of this race here, Sam. So might as well come down, get 4 fresh tires, and see what happens. But man, oh man, oh man, that's huge championship implications.
I mean, Jarzik, as long as he finishes, well, at this point, with only about 6 competitive trucks still left on the lead lap, as long as he finishes on the lead lap without getting in the crash, he advances into the pursuit. And Krobach and Ericsson already have 2 positions from wins. So ultimately, I think it's going to come down to whoever wins. Right now, Josh Tanner and Bryce Whitson actually running 1-2, but you see Josh Tanner's coming into the pits because his engine is billowing smoke. Now, where's Bryce? His truck is still running. So Bryce is going to try and win this with a beat-up truck.
I mean, it's all he can do, Sam. I mean, coming down pit road ain't gonna really help him. He's just trying to do everything he can to make sure he gets that truck into the next round. But man, oh man, it's gonna be awfully difficult with the damage on there. But we will see what happens. Another update here: Mark McCrary was the truck that received the DSD Lucky Dog.
Good news for Mark. We haven't really spoke a lot about him, but he's made his way up the back here. So, Bryce and Gary are going to restart from the front row. If either of those two win, they become the fourth driver to advance into the pursuit. Josh Tanner has officially retired from the race. He is definitely not going to make it into the pursuit. Now, if Brian Jarzik or Jordan Eriksson, the driver who was already locked in, were to win, with Josh Tanner being out of a race, that means the fourth pursuit position would go to Nick Cohan. So Nick Cohan needs someone who has already won a race, or someone who's already locked in, basically. Brian Jarzik or Jordan Eriksson, or even someone like Scott Formosa or Michael Krobach there on the second row to win. If Bryce or Gary Whitson wins this race, they get in and Nick Cohan is knocked out.
Tell you what, speaking of Cohan, he just took the wave around, and the problem with that is that he can't pass anybody when we go green flag. Really, he's going to be at the tail end of this because he just took a wave around, so he's going to have to deal with some traffic to get back to where he was at, but that's going to be awfully difficult with the amount of laps we have left in this race, Sam.
A caution would end it, and a quick caution is the only way I can really see Bryce Whitson winning this race and moving on to the championship round, considering the amount of damage he has on the front end of that 00 truck. Gary Whitson restarts on the high side of him. Brian Jarzik restarts behind. Ford Mustang pace car about to make the hard left turn. Here we go. What is going to happen? Bryce Whitson's going to have control of the field, I can tell you that much, but he doesn't get a great restart. Gary is already ahead of him. Jarzik's already underneath him.
Yeah, he's stuck. Bryce Whitson is, that's for sure.
So, Gary Whitson is leading this race. If he wins, he goes through, and Nick Cohan is out. If one of the two drivers behind him wins, Gary Whitson is knocked out and Nick Cohan advances.
Check out this battle for second place. This is what Gary wants to see in his rearview mirror, is two trucks battling side by side, because that is going to give the opportunity to Gary Whitson to work with that clean air and pull away, but it looks like that ain't going to happen anymore. Jarzik is actually getting a huge run off turn number 2. This might be a tire advantage right here. Battle for the race lead.
And this is what Nick Cohan wants to see and what Gary Whitson does not want to see at all. Gary has no choice. He must battle Brian Jarzik for this race win.
Oh man, try to get to that right rear quarter panel, slow him down, but it actually costs Gary Whitson on the high side as he loses a position to Jordan Eriksson.
Alright, so Jarzik and Eriksson are pretty much already locked into the pursuit here, so this will help Nick Cohan. Now, of course, if they begin battling for the win and they take each other out, that's really the only other way Gary could get in right now, but I don't think it's going to happen. Brian is really pulling away from Jordan.
Brian just pitted under that last caution as Gary Whitson is technically on older tires than the top two trucks right now, but he's trying to do everything he can to battle. Gary must win this race to advance, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. He's led him a good amount of laps today, but the winning is what it counts.
How the heck is Michael Krobach back up into fourth position? Scott Formosa, meanwhile, is the driver you see dropping back there. He's got problems. We've seen him struggling on the short run every single run, really, this race. He's had good pace in the long run. Unfortunately, it is a shootout to the end here. In fact, there's a white flag to the end here. Jordan Eriksson has locked himself into the pursuit with to the championship round with a win at Las Vegas. I wonder if Scott Formosa was out of fuel. And then at Talladega, Michael Krobach locked himself into the pursuit with a win. Nick Cohan's going to get in on points. Brian Jarzik is going to get in with a win here at Rockingham.
What a race. Jordan Erickson second, and Michael Krobach, Mr. Where Did He Come From, will finish third.
And how about Mark McCrary right behind him in fourth place?
And we were talking about Mark McCrary. Like, he wasn't very good at the start of the race or the middle of the race, but he still gets a top 5 finish with the 4th place.
And Gary Whitson dropped all the way back to 5th at the end there. Now, Nick Cohan finished all the way back in 6th, but he was, well, I'm going to have to double check the points here. Yeah, he was clear enough of any of the drivers behind him that he had to hold off.
Yeah, I'm seeing Jacek, Eriksson, Krobach, and Cohan, the final 4 that'll make it into the next round for the championship, the pursuit to the pedals.
And sure enough, those are the 4 trucks. Yeah, those are the 4 trucks you see on track right now, getting their photo opportunity. One of these 4 will be the champion of the 2016 iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series and win a nice set of pedals.
Folks, if you thought this race was exciting here at Rockingham, just wait until next week at Texas for round 1 for these 4 drivers.
Oh, we lost one of the drivers on the back straight here. I wonder if they ran out of fuel. Well, they made it to the end. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break here on the GSRC. We will be back in a moment with a full race rundown and driver interviews. Hello and welcome back to Rockingham Speedway, a track known for putting on great shows, and it definitely put on one tonight. It's not the championship, we're actually 3 races away from the championship finale, but it was the last race to make the championship round, and our top 3 finishers are all advancing into that championship round: Brian Jarzik, Jordan Eriksson and Michael Krobach. Then we have Mark McCrary, who was a late joiner to the series, placed 4th. Gary Whitson has had some bad luck this year. He is a very fast driver, couldn't quite make a cut though, 5th place tonight. Nick Cohan is our 4th driver who will be advancing to a pursuit, and I want to mention this about Jarzik, Eriksson, Krobach and Cohan. They're also the 4 drivers that scored the most points in the last 3 rounds, so it would have worked both ways, on wins and also on points. It will be interesting watching those 4 fight it out for the championship. Bryce Whitson brought his damaged truck back home there in 7th position, probably had a bit of engine damage after that last incident. Scott Formosa placed 1 lap down. I almost wonder if he ran out of fuel there at the end, in 8th position. And 2 laps down we got Austin Missler, who is one of the drivers knocked out of a pursuit, and then Michael Koenig rounding out the top 10. Actually, let's just briefly mention the 4 drivers who were knocked out. They're Josh Tanner, Gary Whitson, Bryce Whitson and Austin Missler. Tanner.
Yeah, and outside the top 10, finishing tonight in the 11th position is Jeffrey Gilliam, the 61 Sim Racing Apps machine. Tim Knott will finish 12th. Mark Myers will finish 13th. 14th is Jackie Pelmore. Josh Tanner, unfortunately, he will not make the pursuit, as Sam did say. He will finish tonight in the 15th position, 8 laps down. And Troy Haight rounding out the top 16 field, 58 laps down.
Alright, well, let's begin with our race winner and one of our drivers advancing into the championship round, Brian Jarzik. You would have been the one who would have got in on points, but then ultimately you ended up winning the race anyway, helping Nick Cohan advance. But hey, I'm sure you were just out there for the race win. When did you know you could get it? You were kind of handing back in 3rd place for most of the first half of the race.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Sam. You know, I just never give up. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot for Gary and Nick, you know, on probably the first half of the run, and then by the time they got about 2 seconds out, we were about evened out, and I'd start to kind of chip back away at it, and you know, I just then the kind of strategy unfolded after that first caution, and I was kind of looking at the numbers, and I thought, you know, all right, we can make it, you know. So I saw Gary and Nick pit, and I'm like, crap, you know, these guys are going to short pit and try to get the one up on me, but I just stuck to the strategy. I knew it was gonna work out, because green, you know, kind of had a green flag run to it. But oh man, then that last restart, that was intense. I feel bad. I kind of bumped Bryce on the restart and took him 3 wide, and you know, I hate to do that to a teammate, but you know, if I didn't get by him, Jordan was going to get out and win it. So you know, I knew we were good in points, but you know, you put that big old stake in front of me, I'm gonna go after it.
Okay, and you put on a heck of a show doing it. What do you think our championship chances are, looking at the next 3 rounds?
You know, looking at the next 3 rounds, I'm really, you know, I really feel good about them. Kind of Phoenix is going to be kind of my struggle. For some reason, I just haven't. The last couple times we've been there in some of these league races, I haven't had the real good speed. We've had some speed, but just not, you know, not what I would consider, you know, winning speed. But, you know, you got, I think it's Texas and Homestead in there. I love Homestead, really good at Texas. So if we can repeat tonight in Texas, you know, that might give us a bye for Phoenix. And then, man, you know, I'm just all jacked up. I can't think anything else, man. This is awesome. This is awesome for HPP simulation. For iROC, for everybody that supports me, House of Jerky, sim racing apps. You know, it's just it's an awesome feeling to get a win here. I'm jacked up, but I gotta wind it back down. I got another race to run.
Yeah, well, we'll go and let you get wound back down here, Brian. We got your competitors to talk to now. But hey, they all finished behind you tonight. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Texas.
Hey, thank you. I've got kind of an odd, a special shout out here. I got to thank my boss. I was talking to him last night, and I had to close, which is going to put me out at 8:30, which is going to be real close to, making it in the race on time. And he told me if it was going to run late, that he'd come in and cover for me, so I could get out on time. And he let me out, and he told me before I was walking out the door, he goes, "Go win it." So I got to thank my boss on that one. Hey, we put some money towards, Young Survivor Coalition. That's why I run the pink numbers. So that's just awesome. Awesome. Can't wait to go for this championship. Let's do it.
Alright, well that was our race winner, Brian Jarzik, tonight, finishing just 0.6 seconds back of him. Another driver advancing into the pursuit. Tanner, you've caught up with Jordan Erickson.
I've caught up with Jordan Erickson here, and Jordan, we're usually seeing you as a dominating truck out there on the racetrack, but tonight you weren't so much dominant. You're running around the top 10, and some bad luck plagued other drivers that allowed you to finish in the top 5. Tell me about your night.
Yeah, I don't Rockingham and me just don't agree with each other. I just can't get a hang of it. I got home late tonight. Got in practice a little bit late and didn't get as much practice I probably should have, especially on a track that I don't run all the time. And finally there towards the end, I felt comfortable, but right there we just out-strategied them. Brian and I, if it would have gone green, we'd have finished 1-2, so I'm really glad to see that he finished, we finished where we would have finished if that caution hadn't come out.
Yeah, definitely, and it was majority green flag racing throughout this race, and with the late afternoon setting and the track temperature 83 degrees, your truck was bouncing a lot out there, but it didn't look like a lot of handling issues were going on. Was the tires getting eaten up here in this kind of setting, or was it pretty grippy out there?
It was pretty grippy. The biggest thing that I had to deal with was obviously, like you just said right there, the bumps. I don't think the setup was exactly probably what we should have run. I guess because iRacing doesn't have a fixed Rockingham setup, so it was a modified version of something else, which is great for a level playing field. It's just when it doesn't drive the greatest, it just kind of makes it more difficult. It was really, really hard to pass on the bottom. I'm honestly surprised that more guys, that there weren't more accidents than there was just because of that fact. But as soon as you hit the bottom, you'd hit those bumps and you'd need just a little bit of room to wash up off the corner to complete a pass.
Yeah, definitely. And now with Rockingham out of the way, you didn't have to worry about Rockingham coming into the race because you had a win to lock you in. But now you are in the Final Four for the pursuit of the pedals, and now we head on to Texas Motor Speedway to start the round of 4, the Championship 4. How do you feel that you're going to run at Texas?
I won Vegas, so I think I like my chances at Texas. As long as we get back to tracks that are running normally, that make sense to my head. Because like I said, I just not used to Rockingham. Don't run it very much, so it was threw me for a little bit of a loop. But I think we'll be all right at Texas and Phoenix and Homestead moving forward here.
Yeah, Phoenix and Homestead are, especially Phoenix, is definitely a different racetrack than what Texas, Rockingham, and Homestead is. It's a 1 mile open dog-legged racetrack, and it's always a fun track to produce great racing at. So we thank you, Jordan, for tonight to come out to talk to us here, and congratulations on your second place finish, and we wish you the best of luck towards the pursuit of the pedals.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate the job you guys do, and thanks to Bryce and Gary and all the guys for putting this league on, and thanks to Mark for putting all the pedals up. Hopefully in 3 races here, I'll have myself a brand new set, but if I don't, that's at least I made it this far. Thanks, guys.
That was Jordan Erickson finishing in a second position tonight, one of the drivers that will go on to the Final Four. And another driver to go on to the Final Four is going to be Michael Krobach. I believe Sam has caught up with Michael Krobach.
Yes, Michael, you were a lap down earlier on in the race, but you came home to salvage a 3rd place. Of course, you already knew you were in the pursuit with your win at Talladega. How many more laps do you think you could have got the leaders?
I don't know. I was just lucky to finish 3rd. I have no idea how he managed to pull that off in our number 7 HPP simulation clip in that Apex Chevy. We were out to lunch most of the race. I really struggled at this track tonight. Tried to do some practice beforehand. Thought we were okay, but when the race time came around, we kind of dropped like a rock, and we were fighting, not to drop out of the top 10, not to lose a lap, and caught a lucky break there with that caution at the end. I think we had the strategy to beat some of those guys that wanted to do 2 stops at the end there. We were going to just do 1 stop, and I think we would probably finish maybe around 6th or 7th, which would have been better, but somehow we threw on some tires there, and it came alive a little bit and got a 3rd place.
Yeah, and we've seen you racing with your teammate out there, Brian Jarzik, a lot during the season. You two are 2 of the ones going into the championship round, along with Jordan Eriksson and Nick Cohan. What do you think about your competitors heading into the last 3 races?
I think that's going to be a tough race for the championship. We got the 4 guys who, if you look at the season stats, we got the 4 best average finishes and top 10s and wins and everything like that. So it'll be a heck of a battle. Brian and Nick Cohan are 2 of my closest buddies out here, so I'm just tickled to death to be racing for a title with them guys. I hate that we don't have more spots, that the Whitsons couldn't join us and everything like that. But going head to head with a couple of my best friends for a championship is going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we mentioned you were struggling a bit here tonight at Rockingham, as Jordan Eriksson was also just telling us he thought he was struggling a bit here. What do you think about Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead, the tracks that we're going to wrap up the season?
Well, I like Texas. Last year, if you remember in that race, I had some internet connection problems, lost 6 laps, and got a lead lap finish and finished 10th or something like that. So I do like that track. Phoenix, I'm a little bit skeptical of. Probably got to run a bunch of testing laps there. And Homestead, we won in the Grand National car earlier this year on the Global Sim Racing channel. So that was a pretty cool race to win there to get our season started. So I'm looking forward to those couple of mile and a halves. Got to get a little bit more short track practice in, but we're on a roll right now. We haven't finished worse than 7th in the last 12 races. And we got a lot of momentum on our side, and I'm looking forward to representing HPP Simulation, clipping that Apex, Sim Racing Apps, Canadian Mini Indy, and TSK Designs in this Final 4.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you back out there on the track, Michael. Congratulations on a pretty solid finish tonight. We'll see what you can do in the championship next week at Texas.
Thanks, Sam. I look forward to it.
Alright, so that was our 3rd place finish from Michael Krobock. We have to go back a few more positions, but 6th place not too shabby of a finish for Nick Cohan. He is also advancing into the pursuit. Tanner, you've caught up with our 4th driver advancing there.
Yes, I've caught up with Nick Cohan, the jerky man, who had one of the fastest trucks out there at Rockingham tonight, along with Gary Whitson. And Nick, that house of jerky truck looked bad fast out there, especially going through the bumps. I believe you led the most laps, if I'm not mistaken. But I tell you what, that one caution kind of plagued you there in traffic. But nonetheless, you still advanced into the Final 4. Congratulations.
Thanks, Tanner. Rockingham's always been pretty good to me. The bumps and stuff make it fun and challenging, and always seems to help me here. I like poking a lot. It's kind of feels the same to me, just one less corner. But yeah, I put a lot of practice in this week. Preparing for this one because I had a tough battle there with Tanner and Brian going on. So I was well aware of the points the whole race, and thanks to my Steel Horse teammates for helping me out in the spotter booth, and just glad we made it into these final 3 races here. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a blast. 4 drivers left, and I tell you what there, Nick, tonight here at Rockingham, with all the bumps and all that, we did talk to our 2nd place finisher, Jordan Eriksson. He says the track was really grippy, and it looked like it was really grippy on your end, too. Tell us, on your driver's perspective, how does this track really eat up the tires, and does this weather setting actually do help?
Yeah, we practiced all week, and it was clear, and it was way worse than it was tonight, to be honest with you. But the bumps just make it, you feel like you can drive it in harder, and you could if there wasn't any bumps there. But the bumps just they eat you up, and they eat up the tire so bad here, and you just have to be smooth with the throttle. And I practiced that a lot this week, just saving tires and making sure I was good to go in the long run because I had a feeling it could go that way, and unfortunately totally botched the strategy. It just screwed me, but we fought back hard. I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was extremely mad when I had to pit there with 12 to go, and luckily Josh got taken out. I mean, I feel bad that he is out of the chase in that fashion, but well, I guess we'll take it any way we can get it.
All right, so our next race will start the round between you 4 drivers, and you're one of them at Texas Motor Speedway. What do you think your chances are on trying to take the checkered flag at Texas?
Good. I like Texas. It's my type of track. It's probably out of the 3 tracks, it's probably the worst for me, but they're all really good tracks for me. I love Phoenix and Homestead. I'm really good at. So, it's gonna be. I can almost guarantee it's gonna be me, Brian, Mike, and Jordan finishing probably 1, 2, 3, 4 for almost the rest of this chase. We're gonna be. It's gonna be a tough battle, and it's these guys are fast, and we, like Mike said in the interview, we all have. The top 4 drivers in the league pretty much this year ended up top 4 in the final chase here. So we're going to put on a good show for you guys.
It is definitely going to be a good show for sure, live here on the Global Sim Racing channel for sure there, Nick. Well, Nick, we thank you for talking to us tonight, and a little preview of, I guess you could say, for the upcoming 3 races starting off at Texas. So we thank you for coming and talk with us tonight, and we will see you at Texas, and best of luck to you.
Thanks, Tanner. Just got to give a shout out to Mark and House of Jerky. It was good to put on a good, strong effort. Didn't get the win, but just glad to have him on board here for the rest of the chase. And thanks to Mark for putting this all together with HPP and the Whitstons. And thank you guys.
That was Nick Cohan, the Jerky Man, driving the number 21 House of Jerky machine, finishing 6th tonight, and will be one of the drivers advancing to the round of 4, last round, Championship 4. And Sam, what a race we've seen here at Rockingham. I'm sure we're going to be looking forward to some fantastic racing, especially from our top 4 drivers.
It is going to be a very interesting championship, that's for sure. And let's not forget there's going to be other trucks out there all fighting for the win. In fact, let's go ahead and give one more shout out before we leave to our M-Spec hard charger of the race, Mark McCrary. Didn't mention him a whole lot. Well, we did. We mentioned how he wasn't running up front, and then at the end he salvaged a 4th place finish after starting 12th on the grid. He didn't set a time doing qualifying, so congratulations, Mark, on that. Brian Jarzik, Jordan Erickson, Michael Krobok, and Nick Coham. One of them will be the series champion in a few weeks' time and take home a set of HPP simulation pedals. Who will it be? Well, we won't find out next week at Texas, but we could get a good idea. Who knows? Maybe they will finish 1, 2, 3, and 4. In fact, I wouldn't not bet on it. I think it is something that you could definitely put money on, but it could very well be the case that they finish 1, 2, 3, 20. You never know here. That is the drama of motor racing. So we'll find out here Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time next week. But before we go, we would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the iROC HPP Simulation Truck Series for coming up here tonight and putting on an unforgettable show. We would also like to thank the makers of the various software and hardware. There you see them all listed on your screen. Thanks to the team today, Tanner Sharp, Joe Peak, and our camera guru, Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find out globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. All of our upcoming races for our other series on screen, so be sure to check those out. Mark them down on your calendar and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.